Well, hello students, and this is Mr. L. Going to go ahead and do a few things here. I've been having some messages pop up all day long, having difficulties with remaining online in order to do this live today. So I'm screencasting this opportunity for us to be together in English 12A here on December the 12th, or the week of December the 12th. A couple things I'd like to bring to mind is, remember, in my wireless classroom there is under for students. If you click on the tab gallery, here is a gallery of different projects that students have done. This mainly, what you're seeing here is from 12B, but for the 12A, um, here is some material, and as well for 12B, examples. You use this pretty much more next semester when you hit 12B. Also want to point out under class downloads, first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about the items in the Shakespeare section, but in the class download, if you click on 12A, not Shakespeare, but 12A, don't forget you have calendars, you have information regarding the Dante Inferno, items from the Dante Inferno workshop I have here, as well as videos of all the mastery tests. The final exam review will come up in January. And in case you're having issues with the different worksheets in the classes coming up, I have them in PDF and in Word there. Also in the 12.2, and this actually should be 10, English Renaissance activity, the videos that you'll need. In task 1, where you're doing a comparison chart, you use video 1, video 2. In task number 2, where you're writing an essay on 5 Hamlets, here are links to those videos. So this way you can utilize them. So that's what I got going on here on that page. I just want to make you aware of it. We're going to jump over to the Shakespeare page. If you have not seen this page yet, please go to it. These 4 videos here in search of Shakespeare, due to copyrights, the previous site where I was able to access the material is no longer allowed to have that video up. So I would suggest, if you can borrow them from a local library or you can purchase it online, it is a PBS show called In Search of Shakespeare from about 10-15 years ago. Excellent introduction to understanding who William Shakespeare was. I still wanted to keep up the little information talking about what each of those videos were going to discuss. Still to this day, I do not know why these links show up here. But meanwhile, areas that I do want to concentrate on is right here, the tragedy and the study guide. Now, the tragedy of Hamlet, what you have is there is a video on the tragedy of Hamlet. This is the first underline, the tragedy of. The second one is the No Fear Shakespeare Journal, or Shakespeare version. This puts Shakespeare's language side to side with today's modern language. Gives you a little bit better idea. Hamlet's Study Guide is a great way to understand the material, and I'm going to talk about how you can use this study guide as part of your journal. If you like to insult people, Insults by Shakespeare, funny little item. Over 2,000 words and phrases that Shakespeare is responsible for coining or introducing to our language. I will tell you, Akala and does talk about what the Bard, that's the nickname given to William Shakespeare, what he has in common with people like Wu-Tang, Eminem, and Jay-Z, or the Wu-Tang clan, excuse me. Um, and how Shakespeare, who uses the iambic pentameter, it really fits in perfectly with today's raps. And these three rappers right there, um, pretty interesting items. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. It will shed a whole new light on Shakespeare and his material for you, and see how he influences even people today. What got me interested in Shakespeare is when I was a little kid, there was a TV show called Gilligan's Island, and this was the originals. We're not talking reruns, folks. We're talking originals. And they did put on a musical version of Hamlet for a marooned Hollywood producer, and I just still to this day can't get these songs out of my head. It's a fun watch. I'd encourage you to take a look at it. But meanwhile, let's take a look at uh, what we are looking at. We're going to look at the journal assignment, just a whole lot of items that we need to really take a look at. One area that I want you to be aware of, and I'm just trying to get different items up. Here we go with the journal, um, and I'll be showing it to you. Is different things that you can do when you're looking at the tutorials. Okay, but we'll get to that in a second. What you do need to do is take a look at the Hamlet Journal itself. So what is the Hamlet Journal all about? Um, Part of it is I want you to be able to understand what Hamlet is talking about here. Majority of you students have expressed how you would like to go on to college or a technical school. I guarantee you, any English class that you're going to take in any of those avenues, you're going to be expected to have some understanding of who William Shakespeare was and some of his writings. So this is going to introduce you to that. And you do have a document that we save online, and it'll be a little bit easier for you to do it. But remember, you're going to be submitting it when it comes to 12.2.8. You're going to send me a note, but before then, you'll need to have signed in. You will get access to the document, and it will explain what you need to do. This may be taking a few seconds. Here we go. What you need to do in this entire document. Now, in each act and scene, so there's 5 acts and there's a total of 20 scenes between the 5. Okay, you're going to give me a summary of what goes on. And then you're going to give me a commentary. And the commentary are these entries here. Pick one of these 6 each time you finish the summary of a scene. Okay, and so what you would do here is say you do an act 1, scene 1, you do number 1. You're going to put in one sentence, what do you think was the significant moment in this scene? Maybe you don't want to do that. You might want to quote lines and talk about those lines. So here you'd put number 3, and then you'd start talking about those lines. Or maybe it's number 4, you know, describe your reaction to the character, action, or idea you confronted in the scene. So in this one, you might say, well, I want to talk about Hamlet because he looks like a pretty confused guy, and this is why I believe that way. So you do that for every act and scene. And then at the end, you need to do this. Tell me how this journal, and it has to be at least 100 words, okay, what part of it that you enjoyed the most. And I take all parts. If you did not enjoy it, that's the part you enjoyed the most, that it was done. Go ahead and say that. That's okay, and tell me why. And give me specific reasons. Well, Act 2, Scene 2 was, ridiculous because of this, blah, 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 blah. If that's the way you feel, I'm fine with that, okay? But what I want you to do is I want you to tell me why. Give me a specific portion of that journal that backs up your point. and that you will use all the way at the end. Okay, and you post it right there. Now, remember that you need to share this. Click share and share it with me. And also remember that you need to add your name here, and at the top you need to put your names in there. Okay, very important. So you'll turn that in at 12.2.8, and at that time, just give me the URL in case for some reason it did not share right or something. Give me that URL. That will help us hunt it down a lot quicker. Put that in the submission area when you submit the assignment. Okay. Um, Here are the questions that I have come up. So in figuring out where do I get this information, or how could I have information for my commentaries and for my summaries, is use this study guide as you read through. What is the political situation like in Denmark? Okay, and you hear about it from Horatio, and there is something called the card in scene 1. So tell me about it. Okay, if you're answering these, now you have material that you can use for your summary. You have material you can use for your commentaries. So it might seem like you're doing more work, but you're doing work and having it ready for you before you even work on the journal. So that's why it's important. And I'll tell you this right off the bat: if you only answered those questions and we're looking for answers to those questions, you could literally fill out that summary sheet, the journal, just from that. You wouldn't even be reading. Some people don't even read it thoroughly, word for word. They've done just that and had an understanding of what's going on. While I do not, suggest that you do that, go ahead and at least, do at least that much. Okay. So here we are. We're going to go back in to the English Renaissance. We're going to go to the next assignment, 12.2.6 and 12.2.7. Now, why are those important? Okay, these each, Acts 1, 2, and 3, and Acts 4 and 5, they'll give you subliminal. You'll get background knowledge about Hamlet in each of those sections, and after you've read the first 3 acts, you will take the tutorial. Take the tutorial in there. It's going to help you in understanding Hamlet. Okay, and remember the tutorials are one point each. And then when you get to the journal submission, as I said earlier, you would submit the journal. So those are basically the items that we are going through this week. What I would like for you to do, and this is going to be a little bit of departure. I'm not going to go through the entire story because there's quite a lot to go through in discussing it. What I'd like for you to do is that any time you have a question and you don't understand what's going on, is contact me. Mr. L, I don't get this. Why is Hamlet doing that? Send me a note through email. Send me a note through the Remind. Call me on the phone, whatever it is. But my suggestion is contact me. There is a video version of this by Mel Gibson. Hamlet 1996 is when that was out there. I would suggest that you take a look at that. And the reason being is if you have the opportunity, I don't know if you can find it on YouTube or if it's out there for rental, whatever, I would suggest checking it out. It's almost word for word. You have a few scenes that some of the action changes a little bit, but you could read along while the movie's going and have a clear understanding. And the movie's only about 2 hours. So you could actually take a run through and gather information in 2 hours, just seeing the movie. So quite a lot of different items that would be there to help you. Okay. talking the Hamlet Journal all the way through each assignment. Okay? If you have questions, let me know. Very, very important. Um, it's very, very easy. Right here it says use this version of No Fear Shakespeare. You can get this off the website. It's a modern translation. It's a lot better than the one they have in slides 22, 23, and 24 in the assignment 12.2.6, Hamlet, Acts 1, 2, and 3. Way better. Okay. Um, and once again, I can't encourage you even, stronger than what I'm doing so far. Contact me. Be more than happy to discuss it one-on-one so you have a true understanding of what's going on. Okay. Hamlet, a story about a young man who returns home because his father has died. His father's brother has married his mom, Hamlet's mother, and is now king. And Hamlet has a lot to think about. And also involved in this whole situation is the advisor to the new king. And that advisor's son is a friend of Hamlet's, and that advisor's daughter is an interest of Hamlet's. And ultimately, a lot is going on. So enjoy it. It's a great read. I think you'll like it. Don't worry if it takes you time. I've built in time into the schedule. So that's all you should be concentrating on this week. That's about 5 hours of work if you were spending an hour a day. You might say, Mr. L, why all this material? Why the journal? Why the study guide questions? Why 2 tests? Why the unit activity talking about this? Well, folks, it's like this. It might seem like it's a lot, but it's there to help you work smarter, not harder. Until next time, I hope you're having a great day. We'll talk to you then.